lucrative trade, beaten, bartered, broken in until I obey. I used to be childlike, innocent and safe, but now I'm someone else's treasure, a stranger's pleasure, smothered in shame. So come with drugs, but I'm not numb. All I feel is pain. Is this all a dream? Will I ever be the same?
Tuve una niña cuando tenía 15 años y vivíamos con mi abuela en mi país. Nos costó mucho trabajo encontrar dinero para vivir, así que hace 2 años tuve la oportunidad de venir a los Estados Unidos a trabajar limpiando casas para un hombre. Él me iba a pagar $10 la hora. Estábamos desesperados, así que yo vine. El primer día en los Estados Unidos, él me compró ropa y me dijo que tenía que acostarme con unos hombres. Fueron 25 hombres al día.
Trafficking is defined as the recruitment, transformation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons by the means of the threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, of abduction, of fraud, of deception, of the abuse of power, or of a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. Exploitation shall include, at a minimum, the exploitation of the prostitution of others, or of other forms of sexual exploitation, forced labor or services, slavery, or practices similar to slavery, servitude, or the removal of organs.
Human trafficking ranks second as a worldwide issue behind drugs. 2.5 million people are forced into labor all over the world as a result of trafficking. Of these, 43% are used for forced commercial prostitution, and 32% are economically exploited for labor, and others are used as child soldiers. Poverty of the victims is the single most common factor driving human trafficking. Those trapped in poverty are constantly looking for a better life, which makes them vulnerable to traffickers who wish to take advantage of these people. Some traffickers lure victims away from their homes and support networks by offering victims jobs, training, career opportunities, better remuneration, or prospects for a better life. However, there are other ways in which people can be trafficked. Women and children may be kidnapped. Parents may sell their children or give their children to traffickers willingly, believing that they're going off to receive an education or job. Some women are married only to find that the marriage is a front for sex slavery. Some people are offered jobs which are actually a sham for slave labor. Some women apply for jobs or training overseas, but on arrival discover it is actually a front for sex or labor trafficking. This is a range of entries into trafficking show that it is very possible for anyone to be trafficked and that it is a worldwide issue. In many parts of the world, people are being taken, trafficked, and exploited. Data from the United Nations Office of Drug and Crime shows that people are being trafficked from 127 countries around the world and are being exploited in 137 countries. Regions of origin for trafficking are in Africa, Asia, Central and Eastern European countries, former Eastern Bloc, Soviet Union countries, Latin America, and the Caribbean. 2000, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking. The United Nations Office of Drug and Crime was decided to undertake the struggle against human trafficking, and so in 2007, the Global Initiative to Fight Human Trafficking program was launched. This program was designed to have long-term impacts in the worldwide fight against human trafficking. Initially, UN GIFT's main concern was to raise awareness, reduce the vulnerability of potential victims, examine the human impact of this crime, and take action to stop it. Its key goals were to Raise awareness, inform the world of this crime, and mobilize people to stop it. Strengthen prevention, warn vulnerable groups and alleviate the factors that make people vulnerable to trafficking, such as poverty, underdevelopment, and lack of opportunity. Reduce demand, attack the problem at its source by lowering incentives to trade and decreasing demand for the produce and services of exploited people. Support and protect, ensuring housing, counselling, medical, psychological, and material assistance, keeping in mind the special needs of women and children and people at risk, such as those in refugee camps or conflict zones. Improve law enforcement, strengthen information exchange between law enforcement agencies on international trafficking routes and trafficker profiles in order to dismantle criminal groups, leading to the conviction of traffickers. Implement international commitment, ensure that international agreements are turned into national laws and practiced by assisting countries in need and improving the monitoring of compliance. Enrich knowledge, deepen world understanding on the scope and nature of human trafficking through more data collections and analysis, joint research initiatives and the creation of an evidence-based report on global trafficking trends. Strengthen partnerships, build up regional and thematic networks involving civil societies, intergovernment organizations, and the private sector. Create a special purpose fund to attract and leverage resources into funding projects around the world committed to ending human trafficking. Create an informal contact group to give like-minded member states ownership to the process and create long-term monuments. Working together is integral in the fight against human trafficking. At an international level, many UN agencies have already begun programs to assist with the fight against human trafficking. They are the UNODC, the Guardian of the UN Protocol Against Trafficking in Persons, the UNICEF, promoting the protection of children from violence, abuse and exploitation, the ILO, promoting the protection against forced labour and preventing child labour, the IOM, promoting the protection of migrant workers, and the OHCHR as the custodian of the anti-slavery legal instrument. We are fighting a criminal threat that is hard to identify and pin down, a threat which has already established itself in towns and cities across the world. It's a threat which attacks people who are the most vulnerable in society and leads them into a criminal underworld where they are without rights or laws. Tragically, though it is the richer and more powerful people who support trafficking by directly or indirectly enjoying its so-called benefits. It may be an Australian businessman using a prostitute in Asia or buying jewelry made by a slave labour. The threat of trafficking is hard to see, but it is real and needs fighting. The true scale of the global threat of trafficking is one that is not fully known. The exact number of people being forced or persuaded into trafficking and unlawful work still remains a mystery, but enough is known to know that it is a major problem requiring a global solution. Our request to the UN Security General is to meet the challenges of human trafficking by naming and shaming countries that originate the traffickers and their victims, while also shaming destination countries. First world destination countries like Australia, the United States and the UK should use laws, money and agencies to investigate and prosecute traffickers to make an example to other destination countries. By protecting suspected victims from abduction and supplying support for those who have already been victimized. All of these methods and more can assist with the hopeful prevention of the abduction of men, women and children. Human trafficking is an industry that remains mainly hidden from the world, but with the knowledge and persistence, the covers can be thrown back to reveal what it is: modern-day slavery.
Know what it meant.